Hi everyone, and welcome back to the London Watch Collector channel. If you just tuned into my channel, I'm a watch collector, a watch enthusiast. Basically, I'm addicted to watches. And on my channel, I'll be sharing my passion for watches using 4K content. I'll be discussing and showing you brilliant timepieces ranging from Seiko to Patek Philippe. So guys, if you enjoy my reviews, please subscribe to my channel, make sure to hit the notification bell and follow me on Instagram. The review is finally here of the G-Shock that I picked up last year in 2018 around Christmas. So when I did the review last time, which is more of a revealing, that was the moment I picked up the watch. I didn't really get to wear the watch and enjoy it and test it, but I'm glad to tell you that now, nearly 6 months later, I'm ready for a review, and I've actually worn this watch for 2.5 months straight as a daily wearer. Is £450 worth it to buy this watch? By the end of the review, you'll find out my take on this. What I'm gonna do now is give you a full unboxing experience, showing you what comes with the watch, how to connect it to your iPhone or basically the G-Shock app, and what features it has, and a final conclusion of my thoughts and whether it's worth the £450 or not. So they come in the standard G-Shock box. I felt it's a shame because spending an extra £100, I think, or £50, you get the gold version, and the gold version has an anniversary edition box which looks way nicer than this standard box. If you'll be spending £450 on a G-Shock, I expect a better box, to be honest. So guys, that's why I've never really liked digital or quartz or watches that are powered by solar, etc. Because believe it or not, during these 2.5 months, at days I'd be wearing gloves and the watch would actually be covered. And believe it or not, in a day or two, the battery indication would light, telling me that battery is low. So I had to actually go out of my way, either sit under the sun, make sure it catches some light, which I really found it to be quite inconvenient. And it actually says on the manual, once you put it under the light for, let's say, half an hour, next thing you know, the watch is so hot that you can't even put it on your wrist. So I don't know where exactly is the technology. They should have at least put a strong battery that the solar power would just be complementing the battery rather than depend on it, if that makes sense. Checking at those photos, you can see me clipping the watch for it to actually be able to get some light. That's the only way I was able to charge the watch to continue being able to use it. So when it comes to the solar power, I'm gonna give it a big thumbs down. That's why I appreciate the mechanical watches, because as long as you're wearing it, it will run. And even when you remove it over the weekend, when you put it back on Monday, it's still running. You don't have to worry about the charging, you don't have to worry about the battery, you don't have to worry about the solar power. Moving on, so the rest of the documents is the usual leaflets, papers, whatever you want to call it. Opening up the box. So the stickers that I've removed when I did the unboxing, and the spare links. I've actually done the adjustments myself. It wasn't difficult at all because it's the pin type. Then you have this tag which tells you about the watch, which is shock resistant, which I must confess, it did take lots of shocks, it did take lots of beating. You'll see the condition in the watch in a second. It's radio controlled. This was another positive point. And tough solar? Not really. It is disastrous. It would lose power within 48 hours if not exposed to sunlight. So the Bluetooth link is good. Having it on an app was quite convenient, setting the alarm, for example, or using the stopwatch. The 20 bar water resistance, I did go swimming with it probably once in the sea and it did alright. 100th second stopwatch. This is probably the most useful feature. Having a chronographs in my collection like the Daytona and the Speedies, it's sometimes good to have a digital stopwatch, although I'm still a fan of the manual chronographs, but definitely a useful feature on this watch. Super illuminator, this is another nice feature because depending on the wrist movement, the watch would light up. So you don't even have to press any buttons. So basically it's more of a motion sensor LED effect rather than the usual G-Shock colors. The world time, that's another good feature, and I'll show you in a second how they've placed the dates unlike other G-Shocks out there. So they always follow the American way, so month and then day. Here in the UK we use day and then the month. I used to get confused with the old G-Shocks whereby it's the month display first and then the date, But here you can choose the feature of both. Presenting the watch. As you can see, the scratches it caught, it was inevitable that I'm gonna get lots of scratches on this because it's polished completely all around. You can see the scratches on the buckle as well. Deep scoring mark as well on one of the links, but overall it did really well. I'm impressed. It took the beating. So the features of the watch without using the app. So the button at 7 o'clock would change the features. So jumping from the time to world time to the alarm, which is 5, and then stopwatch, and then the countdown, and back to the home time. So linking the watch to your app or to your phone. So all you have to do is get the G-Shock app. You press the button at the 7 o'clock, you press and hold. It will actually tell you to hold. By having the Bluetooth on or your phone, it will just connect. The features on the watch is, for example, if you want to change between the world time and the home time, so you have 5 options to choose. But for example, if I want to change to Singapore, so it changes on the app first, and then you see the red display at the bottom says send setting to watch. So by clicking that, it will send it to your watch. So that's the feature where you don't have to keep pressing the buttons on your watch and changing the date, etc. So going back to the watch, going to option 2, which is world time. So I can still track London time or Washington by just pressing the button at 4 o'clock. So I will be able to track 2 time zones at the same time. So connecting back again. So the next feature is something called time and place. So it has a feature whereby every time you visit a country, you press a button which gives out a signal and records it on the app, displaying it on a map. I haven't used this feature, unfortunately. It would have been nice if I did, but basically it records your coordinates and you can finally see it on a map, so all the places you visited, etc. It was a shame I didn't use this feature, but probably next time. So next would be utilities. So in the utilities, you have 3 options: alarm, timer, and reminder. Clicking on alarm, you can set up to 5 alarms. So let's try one out. So let's go for alarm 1 and we'll put it as 11:49. And then send setting to watch. And in exactly 1 minute, the alarm should sound. In the meantime, let's go back and see the other features. So the timer, which is set to 10. Next is reminders. You can use it as a calendar reminder. And here, guys, it tells you the feature of the watch, basically what the buttons would do. So to silence the alarm, all you have to do is just press anywhere on the watch, and that would stop the alarm. Moving on to the settings, where I wanted to show you the difference in the settings of the watch. So for example, if I click on summertime setting for home time, so London using the daylight saving, so it shows you that it's on auto, so it will automatically detect you between summer and winter and adjust the watch accordingly. The power setting option, which is power saving, which tells you that between 10 and 6 a.m. it will automatically enter into power saving state, which is recommended to turn this setting on. So basically at night when all the lights are off, it will automatically switch off the watch to save that solar powered battery, which again I'm not a fan of. Next feature would be the light setting. So auto light, which means that every time you look at your watch, it will switch on the light, and you can choose it to be 2 seconds or 4 seconds. And you can see I've chosen the option of 4 seconds. And then the time for connecting to the app. So if 3 minutes passes, no reaction between the phone and the watch, it will disconnect automatically. I'm guessing to save the battery again. And then the sound. So you can have the sound on or off. I've kept it as on. Watch display setting. This is the most important feature to me because you have the 12 and 24-hour display, which I've chosen the 12. You have the setting month day order. So as I said, in the UK, we follow the day and then the month. And to disconnect, you just press disconnect and that will disconnect the watch. It is an expensive G-Shock, £450 for a G-Shock, but you have to remember that it is the first ever G-Shock in steel. And I believe that's the reason why it did so well. And initially you would not find them in boutiques. They were just running off the shelves, but nowadays you can find them quite easily. Honestly guys, to me this size G-Shock is the best. I hate that 50mm plus diameter. It's not the best. To me this size is perfect. The thickness is also not too thick, not too thin, just perfect. Would I spend £450? Yes, I would. I would recommend it. Believe it or not, my wife hates this color. She thinks it's too tacky, too flashy, but somehow I liked it. It is a flashy watch, especially if you get the gold version. So guys, a wrist shot. Hope you enjoyed this review. That was my thoughts on the G-Shock that I bought 6 months ago and whether it's worth the £450 or not. That's all for this week. Thank you for watching.